So we're recording this actually a little closer to when we usually release them.
Yeah,
Um,
don't worry about it.
so we can talk about Strange New Worlds coming out, and this episode will come out before Strange New Worlds comes out, season
Oh
four.
yeah,
Because
I've
I
not
think,
kept up with when that's happening.
yeah. So now I have not.
Is this the last season, or
Oh,
are they
go.
doing like this one and then like a little half season
There's this
after it?
one plus like a little short mini season.
Okay, so that they can call it a 5-year mission.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So the new season is coming out at the end of July, so we'll be able to talk about it pretty soon. Um, and kind of the interviews that Akiva Goldsman has basically been saying, like, it's kind of returning to like episodic storytelling.
Wasn't that kind of always what Strange New Worlds was?
Well, like, I think the third season there was like a lot of like recurring Gorn stuff, and so I think they're trying to make it
Yes.
like more fun and like
Okay.
one-offs again. But like I think they've been saying that there's a puppet episode. Um,
Okay.
the one thing is that it's kind of interesting, but also like a bummer, is that they have said, and Shatner has said, that they tried to get Shatner on the show, and it just didn't
Really?
work out.
Oh man.
Yeah, it didn't work out for whatever reason. Like they both were like trying to figure out a way to like write him into a script, which would have been pretty
That would
cool,
have been fun. I
in my
mean,
opinion. But
again, like he is 90, so I get him like not being
yeah,
super available to go do acting gigs.
but yeah, they did. He said that they basically they wrote like several scripts basically trying to figure out how to get him into the show, and it just didn't work.
Uh,
But yeah, I think there's a puppet episode, there's like a cowboy episode.
a
Um,
classic of Star Trek.
yeah, yeah. So
That's a good question. How many shows do have a cowboy episode? That
uh,
like does I guess do Voyager or Deep Space Nine? They might not have.
uh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, certainly Enterprise does, and
Enterprise,
famously TNG
TNG
does.
does.
I mean, like TOS,
TOS
do they have
does.
like a
They have
pure?
um they have the like shootout at the OK Corral one.
Okay, sure, sure.
Um
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess I don't remember any from Voy Voyager. I guess the closest might be like the Civil War, like the Q and the Gray one is sort of
Oh,
adjacent,
sure. Yeah, that's not quite the
but
same,
not the
but yeah.
same. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I did not watch the trailer before, but we'll talk about it pretty soon. Like I think it's like a 10 episode. Yeah, it's 10 episode season
Okay.
starting in end of July, and then next year I think they're gonna have a 6 episode final season. So,
Okay.
and then at some point next year I think they're gonna have Starfleet Academy season 2, and then question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah.
We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Nothing's
But
been like announced yet, right? I know they keep.
well, yeah. I mean, I think it does sound like basically this is the end of the uh I don't want to say the Paramount Plus era, but the at least the Alice Kurtzman era. I moved recently also, and I am trying to find my kazoo, and it looks like it's been misplaced. So
Okay.
I may have to do my old style bad fake kazoo impression to start us into the regular episode. But somewhere around here my kazoo is, and we will find it later on. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Out of Contreks, a show where two guys who have seen part of Star Trek try to watch all of it in no particular order. I'm Ryan Howard,
And I'm Brady Jungle.
and today we're talking about not Strange New Worlds. We're talking about another prequel series. We're talking about The Council, which is Star Trek Enterprise Season 3, Episode 22, written by Manny Coto, who later would go on to be the showrunner in the final season of Enterprise, and directed by David Livingston, series mainstay.
Yeah.
And the Memory Alpha synopsis is Archer confronts the Xindi Council, um, which honestly I think is kind of selling this episode short as to what
Kind of
happens, because
undersells like
there's
things do actually happen in this one. Yeah.
yeah, like there's a bunch of like political infighting in the Xindi Council, and there's some time travel stuff, and then there's like that scene where like they go into like the middle of the Death Star and like fight
Yeah.
a big arm in there.
Yeah. Like a
Um,
Matrix arm. Yeah.
yes. So I gotta be honest with you. I watched this last night, and I was
Hmm.
falling asleep. So I watched it not because the episode was boring. I actually thought it was pretty good. One of the better Enterprise episodes we watched for the show, in my opinion. But I was very sleepy, and I had already watched another episode that you and I are going to talk about later on. You know, in a few
Hmm.
episodes from now, which I did find to be a little duller than this one, and and I was just really tired, and so I kind of dozed off a bit. So then I was one of the reasons we could have started a little bit earlier today, and I was just kind of like refreshing, like going through it and watching the parts that I had missed.
Oh, sure.
But
Yeah.
but I was like, this is a good one though. Like I was pretty. I was like, this is very strange, and it also feels very like I think one of the multiple problems that Enterprise has is that like it's so backwards looking, like, or you know, forwards looking, I guess, because it's a prequel, but like it's so kind of enmeshed in what.
Yeah, like we're going to use this show to explain where all of the things in Star Trek came from.
Right,
So we
right.
have to make an episode about the first time they use a photon torpedo and the first time they use a transporter and all those stuff. Yeah.
I can't remember if we talked about this on the show, but we watched an episode, or no, we did. No, I forget. Did you and I talk of this, or did Kim and I watch it? Like, we watched an episode where they talked about like someone inventing Red Alert, and I'm like, that's not even a thing that was invented.
we
That
did
was
we did not.
Yeah.
I believe
There's
it
an
for this
episode where
show,
like
but
someone's
wait,
like what should we call this alert? And it's like that's a real thing that already exists. You know, like
right. Oh no.
yeah. But this one I was like, this is its own thing. It reminded me a lot of like to the degree that I've watched these, which is not very much, but it reminded me a little bit of like something like Stargate or Babylon 5 or like one of the other kind of like sci-fi TV shows from this
Mm-hmm.
time period. It just feels like a very different vibe, which I thought was like to the episode's
Yeah, it's definitely
benefit.
like ambitious to be like we're going to introduce this like like this race of like weird aliens that are none of whom are like previously seen on Star Trek that we can do whatever and like they have all their own like internal politics and
Yeah, and they really kind of get into it
you
too.
get
Like
kind of
it's
like yeah.
yeah. Um, so I think we've watched some episodes like after this because I like when they're talking about like the sphere weapon. I was like, we've definitely discussed the sphere weapon
Yeah, I think
before.
we've seen ones kind of like around this sort of arc.
Yeah.
Um
Um,
Apparently
but
this one is right after this is like the very next episode after E squared, which I think is like
yeah,
I
which we've
don't
seen.
remember like what they're actually trying to do in E squared, but I think it's something about like they're trying to like use a wormhole or something like to get here to like get to this council. So
Yeah. So I did not watch as is my want. I did not watch
mhm.
the previously on. But I think contextually, I will say because that's part of the fun here
Right.
when we're especially when we're
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
Enterprise
let's
episodes.
both try to guess what's going what
So based on my recollection of other episodes that I've seen and just like contextually, like the Zindi like killed 7 million of the people on Earth with like a weapon.
yeah.
And then basically like it was determined that this was told to for them to do this by some people who looked a lot like they kind of looked like a cross between like the Borg Queen and the
Yes,
founders
I did
from the Borg Queen and the founders from DS9.
yeah. Yeah, I did write down like for some reason they're wearing like the like at least the sphere builders are all like wearing the Borg Queen outfit, like the sort of
Yeah.
it's this sort of like off the shoulders kind of angular like
But then they
thing.
all have like kind of weirdly
But
smooth faces though, like
yeah, and I feel like
the
their
founders
vibes
do.
are almost like their vibes to me like and this is all stuff that I think was new to us for this episode. Like I don't think we've
Yeah,
ever like
I don't think
had
we've really
anything about the
seen
sphere builders
the sphere
before.
builders yet in any kind of
Yeah, I
major
think what I
way.
knew
Yes.
before was like the Zindi like made this weapon that like blew up probably San Francisco or like some like major population center on Earth, and then they're making a bigger version that will destroy the whole Earth.
Well, it didn't blow up San Francisco because that's still Starfleet headquarters. Actually, now this
I
one
guess that's true. Yeah.
I wasn't looking at this to try to figure. I was just looking to see the episodes, but I did see that in they mentioned that It cut a swath 4,000 kilometers long from Florida to Venezuela. So
Okay.
so
Hmm.
they attacked Florida. Um,
Okay.
but
Well, no,
I know
I'm
I think you and I both thought the same joke and then thought better of it. So let's continue to think better of it.
moving on.
Um,
But yeah, and then this one we get like the sphere builders who, yes, I think look wise, yeah, they've almost got the sort of like Dominion like founders look, but I feel like vibes wise, they're almost kind of like I almost kind of got like the prophets, but like
yeah,
bad,
yeah,
and like not quite as like in the prophets. I think are more sort of like alien and like incomprehensible, and
yeah.
like
But they like
these are
exist in
kind of
this
just
weird
people,
like
but they still like yeah are like
yeah
this
they
kind of
exist in this weird
weird
like
like
white space. They're like they really have knowledge because they're from the future.
yeah, and the Zindi kind of like worship them as like their religion is founded around them or whatever.
Yeah, the beginning of this episode is a really weird like opening where it just like it's bright white, and then like it's kind of zooming between all the different sphere builders as they're like talking about like what needs to happen, how they have to
Yeah.
destroy Earth and stuff. Very striking. Yeah, and but like they're basically like, you need to destroy Earth. I always say I don't really know why, but they think that the Zindi need to destroy Earth for reasons that are important to them, and
Yes, I
so
think someone says something in this episode that like in the future Earth is going to defeat the sphere builders, and so then like the sphere builders want to destroy Earth first and then have somehow like tricked the Zindi into like helping them do it by like lying to the Zindi and saying that like Earth is actually wants to destroy the Zindi.
right, I think so. And then they basically given them instructions for building the sphere, which they do, and
Yeah.
then yeah, they give them the instructions to build the sphere, and then they're going to go send the sphere to Earth, and I think to blow up the sphere, or to like does the sphere shoot at Earth, or does it explode near Earth?
I
I'm
don't
not
yeah, that I don't really I don't know. I don't know if it's made clear or not, but I think yes. It's supposed to destroy Earth somehow.
at the end. It is their plan is foiled. I mean, I will say that was one thing where I
Presumably,
was
yes.
like, I will say that was one thing. The cold open ends with someone saying like Earth must be destroyed, and I was like, well, this is kind of the prequel problem of like, I know Earth ain't getting destroyed. There's still Earth later in the
For the
timeline
next
of
like
Star Trek, but
600 years. So, yeah.
so I think that's kind of like contextually like where this takes place in, but the actual events of this, I would say, are largely as I'm always somewhat I have a soft spot for, like they're very Star Wars prequel coded. I would say a lot of what occurs in this episode.
Sure.
So why don't you take us into what this episode's actually about?
So yeah, like you said, it kind of talks like it starts out with just a lot like some talking between the sphere builders and like kind of setting that up. And at this point, and this is like we don't really know how this happened, but like Degra, who's one of the head Zindi people, who I think we've seen in other episodes, is now like working with like basically he's been convinced that the sphere builders are lying to the Zindi, and so like he is also trying to help Archer convince the Zindi that they need to not launch the weapon to destroy Earth.
I really liked his performance in this.
Yeah,
That
I think
guy's
he
name
was
is Randy Oglesby. He's played seven different actors on Star Trek.
interesting.
Um, yeah,
That's a pretty
he's one of
good
only six other actors to do so,
like who's the
including
like
it's
Jeffrey
Jeffrey Combs, J.G.
Combs,
Hertzler,
right?
Brent
Vaughn
Spiner,
Armstrong, I'm
Von
sure.
Armstrong, and
Yeah,
Thomas Kopachi.
kind of the classics. That's not what I know, but yeah, I feel like that's sort of the like the kind of like classic list of people who
Yeah,
are in a bunch of Star Treks.
it looks like he's played. Yeah, all the other people I do not recognize them. There, he's played a bunch of different like aliens, and then I think he
Yeah,
was in
makes
a,
sense.
and then in TNG I think he played like a. I guess he played an alien in that too, but like a humanoid alien.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought I quite liked him in this. Um,
Yeah, I think a lot of the performances, like the different like people on the council and that, I thought were like all like very like had good like presence.
He's in 10 episodes of the show, but this, I believe, this is his last episode, obviously, because he bites it in this episode.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, and so like he's like, I will, I'll kind of like escort you to the council, and so like because he's, I think it seems like he's like a member of the council
All right.
of the
Well, and
Zindi.
then we should probably explain like what the Zindi's deal is, which is that like
Yeah, which I think this is probably the first time we've seen like all of them.
I think we've seen some of them around this, like, but not maybe not all at once.
Yeah.
So yeah, because like basically the Zindi exist on a planet where I I believe this is my recollection of how it worked is that like multiple species evolved into sentience. Like so, like basically it would
Hmm.
be like if in addition to on Earth, if apes had evolved sentience, then also like fish had or
Dolphins did.
something. Like
Yeah.
and then like so like they basically have like these councils that are run by like different species, but they're all from Zindi or whatever the planet is called, and so they
Yes.
and so they all kind of are like grudgingly kind of like co-govern because they're like, well, that's probably the best way to do it because we're
Yeah,
all
because we don't
kind
want
of
to be
like
like at civil war at all the time. Yeah.
right, yeah. And so
And
yeah,
kind of,
there's
yeah, are considered equals. And this episode does a thing that like, it's one of those things that sort of took me out of it because I can't think of any other time that like Star Trek has done a thing this way. But because they do like, Archer and Degra are doing this kind of like walk and talk through Enterprise, and Degra's like kind of briefing Archer and like preparing him of like, here are all the people on the council that you're going to need to know about. But then they do this sort of like cutaway with a little like whoosh sound effect,
oh
and then
yeah,
like
that's true.
show
I
you like
didn't really think
someone's
about that. You're
face,
right.
which is just like such, I don't know, it felt like such a, I don't know that I can ever think of a time Star Trek just kind of feels like it's always just showing you what's
Yeah,
happening.
very face
But
value.
this is
Yeah,
like, you're like watching like a slideshow introducing you to all of the characters.
yeah,
But it's for the benefit of the audience, not for like, it's
yeah.
not actually happening for like the characters in the thing. But yeah,
I
and
thought it worked
so
though. Generally,
yeah, and I
yeah,
think again, like, because like it's so, I think, important for this to understand, like, to kind of get the whole like thing of the Zindi. So yeah, there's five of them. There's the,
yeah. So
are they just
there's the
the ones
primate,
that
which
Degra
that's
is?
Degra is the primate one, and he's basically
Okay,
like he's like a human being with like some weird
they're like
stuff on his
humans.
face.
Yeah,
Then there's the arboreal ones. They're maybe my favorites. I like them a lot.
they're cool. They have a cool
They're
look.
kind of
Yeah,
like I guess, but like so what are they evolved from? Because it's like also shouldn't they also be evolved from apes? Like
they
what
look. Yeah, they look very
uh
like
I
sort
gotta
of like
find
ape
this.
man. Like they
Um
look like Bobo from Mystery Science Theater 3000. Um,
uh
maybe they're like sloths or
India
something.
arboreal. Maybe you're right. Let's see. History and culture. Yeah, this species probably evolved from some sort of arboreal sloth.
Hmm, interesting.
Um,
Okay.
then there's the insectoids, which are like these big bugs. Um,
Yeah. Which are the like, they're like very, they're the type of like CGI that's just like hard to look at, in my opinion. Like
I
it's
didn't think
almost,
it was that bad. I was watching this on a small screen while I was doing something else, but
yeah.
I,
I think like the way like their eyes are animated is just like, for some reason, really like kind of weird and bothered me. But they also are used very sparingly.
I think I'm giving them a pass because there's one scene toward the end where one of them like throws Archer on the ground, and I was like, that's. I'm not even saying that like it's animated super well, like the alien is animated super well, but I was like, it was like I thought a very well done
Like coordinated well
integration.
between, yeah.
Yeah, like it looked like a thing threw him on the ground, and I was like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
So I think I was maybe a little more forgiving of that. Then there are the aquatic ones, which I love those guys. Those are
They're
just some
so
guys.
they look really good.
Yeah,
They
those
look
are
cool.
they're just like these weird electric eels with like faces that are like in a
Yeah,
fish tank.
they're just kind of big and like just floating in a tank the whole time.
Yeah, they rock.
They're cool. I think they are actually like I think very well animated. Like they look really good.
Well,
Um,
and then there's the reptilians, which also rock. I think like they're because they just look
yeah,
cool. Those they just have really good makeup. Like I think I was watching this and I was like
yeah,
between the three different like practical effect Zindi, I was like, man, this is looking good. Like
yeah.
I
They
was
they put they put money into it
yeah
and like yeah,
yeah I loved like the what's the guy's Daman or whatever adult. I just thought the makeup was really good on like Dolem, you know.
yeah.
And then there's also there's also some avian ones, but they went extinct because they were probably the hardest ones to animate, you know. Yeah.
But yeah, they're occasionally referenced. Uh,
Yes. But yeah, so and I think that's a really cool idea. There isn't really like any other I get like every now and then there'll be like there's like two different species, but like they usually like look pretty similar, you know, like it's like they have a common
yeah,
ancestor, you know, like the Romulans and the Remans or something. But
sure. Yeah.
yeah, so I thought that was a pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think the Zindi are like a very cool idea and yeah, like like visually very like well executed.
Yeah.
Um yeah,
Yep,
it's a cool looking
for
thing.
sure.
Yeah, I think like this is one I think that like I think there's a lot of times that this happens to me with Enterprise where I'm just like I'm actually kind of interested in these like bigger overarching stories. Like this has me
Yeah.
being like it makes me want to sort of watch the whole sort of Zindi story and like see kind of where what all they do with it. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I definitely think the show just from what little we've been able to tell, like I think the show definitely gets better later on in the run of the show. And I feel like we've still mostly
yeah.
seen the earlier part of the show. And I think, but then the other problem is that I still just think that like most of the characters are like dull, like and so like
Sure.
that is the other
Yes,
problem
I
is that you're
do.
just like,
The next Enterprise episode we are gonna do, I had a comment kind of along those lines.
well,
But
like, man, I
um,
just
I mean, this is I think another one where like this is an I think an interesting episode largely because most of the cast of Star Trek Enterprise is barely in it.
well, right, we'll get into it when we do the next episode, but like the next episode that we are going to talk for Enterprise has Jeffrey Combs in it. Um
Yeah.
and I'm just watching that being like, no, this is an actor, you know, like, and that's kind of how I felt watching Oglesby in this one, where I was like, oh, I'm really kind of most locked in, like what's going on with him,
Yeah,
you know,
he's
like,
like
and
he's like portraying emotions and
right, and
it seems like he has like something going on and behind him and that. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, and like Archer is fine, and I generally like Archer, and I generally like Phlox, but really none of the other characters really do a lot for me, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, I was sort of I think that's the issue with this. Like, I think the show definitely gets more interesting, but then also it's like you still just kind of have, and you know, as we've talked about with the Mirror Universe episode, like it's not even like these people are all bad because like you have
Yeah,
something
if they're
like
given some like a character they're able to actually like play into.
right, like you look at the guy who plays Malcolm, and you see
Right.
like oh, he's like so much better in this episode than he is normally, and so it's like, well, I guess like his character in the original in like the normal show is just to be a boring guy, like
Yeah, he must just be getting that direction.
yeah,
Like
more boring,
I don't know.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, but yeah, I generally though was like a bigger, I am curious to watch more. I think once it gets, it kind of gets out of like, and even like when they're gonna do origin story stuff later, and even that I'm kind of more interested in, like when they're like the founding of the Federation, because it's like we don't really know what happened there really on the other shows. Whereas
Right,
like
yeah.
if they're like, well, this is the first time that someone made Red Alert or whatever, I'm like, okay,
Sure.
like fine, I don't care. Yeah,
Yeah, but like I I didn't actually need to
right.
know where that came from. I can kind of fill in the gaps myself.
Yeah, probably they just needed something to say. But anyway, so yeah, we can keep going though. But yeah, I think I wanted to go in a little bit on what the deal is with the Zindi, because I do think that they're pretty interesting. So
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, so Archer and then Sato goes with him to sort of translate also. They go to this council meeting. Um, and Archer kind of makes his initial argument, which is basically like, we have evidence that the sphere builders kind of like lied to you about this and are just using you as an excuse to destroy Earth to protect themselves. And like, we have no intention of like destroying the Zindi or anything like that. And
yeah,
the council all kind of like argue among themselves and sort of breaks down, and everyone walks out. And then meanwhile, there's this other mission that Malcolm and T'Pol and a red shirt basically, like, I don't know if this is like a recurring character before this or if he's just in this episode, but it's like this guy that Malcolm is just like, hey, are you good at like being in an EV suit and combat? And the guy's like, I am. And he's like, great, you're coming with us.
are you good at dying on camera?
Right. So they're going to, and I this is the part that I like, I don't fully know what's going on. They're going to like a sphere that's not the weapon sphere. At first I thought it was,
Oh,
but
it
it's like a
isn't. I thought
different
it was too.
sphere. It's I because it looks like when they actually launch the weapon sphere thing at the end, it looks like different from this. Maybe it is, but they're
Mhm.
like, and they're just trying to like go inside it and get this like data core that'll give them like information that they
Mhm.
can use somehow. Um, but so like they're going in a shuttlecraft on a mission to try to like get this. Um, and so they like this is, I think I texted you. Wait a second. So the big sphere shaped weapon that can destroy a whole planet has a small exhaust port that is its
Yeah.
one vulnerable point. Um,
Well, like I said, it's most of this episode I think is kind of prequel coded, but this one maybe can be a bit can be
yeah.
original Star Wars
But
coded.
yeah, so they like fly the shuttle like inside it, and so Boomer is sort of like piloting the shuttle, and then the rest of them like go out in EV suits and are trying to get this memory core thing that they're trying to get. Then there's a few scenes with the like one of the sphere builders. Like first I think they talk to Degra, right? Um, and like try to convince him because they and Degra sort of explains this to Archer that like basically the sphere builders kind of in like long ago in the history of the Zindi like helped the Zindi or saved the Zindi or something, and so the
Yeah.
Zindi kind of worship them as like these are. It felt very much like the prophets to me.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and he's like, it almost feels like sacrilege to be like not doing what they tell us to do, and like kind of believing that they actually are lying to us.
Well, because they did save them actually. Like that's I think that's part of the dilemma is that he's like, yeah, I mean, like we were our planet was destroyed, and like they came and were basically showing us places we could live. So you
Yeah,
know they are kind of like they are kind of godlike.
yeah. They are like we kind of have this like long history of owing a lot to these people. But like he's been convinced to like to go against them, but then they also go and talk to I didn't write down his name, but the head like reptilian
Dolam
guy,
is his name.
Dolan. Yeah, they uh, tell him basically like all you need to do is take control of the weapon and launch it, and eventually get to the point of like if you do that, then like we'll put the reptilians in charge of all of the Zindi. Like we'll make sure that kind of you're sort of like the top ones, and like we don't need this kind of equal council anymore. Like
Yeah.
we'll put you on top.
Did you say, sorry too if I missed it? Did you say the scene where the sphere beetle visits Degra?
They visit Degra too, yeah.
Because I really like that scene. Because like the Dolam scene that comes later. So she basically is like, "Hey Dolam, like you should like not make this deal." But I really thought that I really liked the scene where she visits Degra and she's like, "Hey, like what's up with this? Like why are you like selling out your people?" And he's like, "Well, you guys are lying." And she's like, that's not true, you know. And I don't know, I thought I liked that sequence, like where like he is kind of like faced with this thing of like it's so against his nature to go against these people that like even though he's pretty sure he's doing the right thing, it's like he still feels very conflicted about it.
Yeah, and I think he plays that really well kind of
Yeah.
through this whole thing that like he is someone who's like very like he talks I think at a few different times about like I care about like my family and my people and like want to that's who I'm like want to protect, but I also want to be like doing the right thing and like I acknowledge the danger that's putting
Yeah.
me in and like the risk I'm taking, but like yeah, again, like he it's a very well done character.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Um yeah, but they convince the reptilians to like go behind the council and like just launch the weapon with whether or not the council
Mm-hmm.
agrees. Because right now there's this sort of like imbalance where the reptilians and the insectoids are both kind of like fully gung ho, like destroy Earth, like kind of the main ones leading that, and the primates, like with like Degra in them, and then the arboreals are both like have been convinced by Archer to like we need to not launch the weapon, we need to make peace with Earth. And so then there's like the aquatics are kind of this like it's sort of set up as like whoever can convince the aquatics there that's which the three votes that you'll need to get the council to decide.
Yeah.
But he kind of sets up at the beginning like they are very the aquatics always like take a really long time to consider everything and like don't make up their mind and it's gonna like they're gonna be very hard to persuade either way and it's gonna take a long
They
time.
have kind of an Ent vibe to them.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And so there's this whole thing where they sort of recreate a like model like they they kind of present like this body of a sphere builder because they're trying to prove that like again like this is I assume referencing something that happened but like proving that like the sphere builders are actually responsible for
The attack on Earth,
like
I
the
think. Yeah.
original attack or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so they've like recreated this body and they kind of bring it to back to the council and argue about it some more. And there's kind of this point where like it sounds they make it sound like oh like everything like we've persuaded like three members of the council to agree and not launch the weapon and I think like we're all going to get along and everything's going to be fine and it seemed like this worked. And then I guess at some point during this back on the like away mission they get attacked by like robot arms that like kill the red shirt guy and then the rest of them like manage to escape back to the shuttle and like are getting back to
Yeah.
Enterprise. But they're able to get the like the core that they like went there for and at some point to Paul's kind of like looking through it and she's like yeah there's good like this has what I need for whatever they're doing. Then there's a scene Dolan like comes into Degra's room and like murders him and is like I found out that you like attacked another Xindi ship and like you're a traitor and like just stabs him.
He's like, I'm gonna kill your whole entire family.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the reptilians like steal the weapon and launch it and are like we don't need the council, we're just going to launch this and do it. And there's sort of a space battle kind of happening and then they beam Hoshi off of the bridge and then escape. And that's kind of where like the episode gets left. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was pretty into it. I
Yeah,
thought it was quite good.
yeah. I'm trying to. I don't think I really like forgot anything major. I guess I sort of like sped through the Malcolm and T'Pol fighting robot arms bit.
Yeah.
I
There's
feel
really
like
not that
there's
much of that in the episode. So um
yeah
yeah, I mean I just liked all the Zindi stuff. I just thought it was really I just found that part very interesting and I thought that the Dolam and Degra were both good and I was just sort of like I would like to know more about this whole thing. So it made me kind of like hopeful.
yeah
I mean like I don't know. I at this point I'm probably like almost halfway through Enterprise as a show. And I think certainly I probably have
okay
seen at least half the episodes now between watching them in order and watching them for the show, and I'm still not like super into it. But there's still like a part of me that's like, maybe it will get better. Like so, but I did enjoy this one.
Yeah, I definitely, it has the sort of, it's I think the kind of the thing that like, I don't know that it's fully the same for me, but it's one of those like, I can see how someone would kind of have the same feeling towards it, that like feeling that I have towards Voyager, where it's just
Sure,
like,
yeah,
I like it for like the potential of what I can kind of see what it could be,
hmm
and it doesn't always, and maybe even rarely, like fully lives up to that, but like it's, you can see like the bones in there of
yeah,
just like, oh, this could be like, you had something you could work with
yeah.
here. Um,
Well, speaking of Voyager, that's the next episode we're going to do for the podcast. So you can come back. We release every other week. You can come back in a couple weeks to listen to us talk about Good Shepherd, which is Voyager season 6, episode 20. So we'll be back to talk about that. In the meantime, you can follow us on Blue Sky at Contreks. You can email us at oddcontreks@gmail.com. You can visit our website at oddcontreks.podme.com. Or you can follow us on YouTube at Out of Contreks. Contreks is spelled Contreks. You can also check out the other shows on the other show on the Kaleidoscope Media Podcast Network, which is Here's Johnny, which is a horror media podcast. And until next time, thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks everyone. Bye.